Happy Sunday. How's everybody doing? I'm back again. No, joking. So happy Sunday. So you said we're going to talk about AWS High Performance Computing. I was talking to a good friend of mine, Engineering Cannabis, aka AI and ME. How we talking about doing performance computing up in the cloud? That way you don't need to own anything. But since we're waiting for a few people to fall in, I don't think a lot of people's gonna fall in because football's on, but it's all good. So we'll just go over the videos I did this week, then we'll get started. So today we're gonna do the high performance computing. You see it right there, high performance computing on AWS. Don't let your innovations get you stuck in the queue. So again, that's a positive thing. Let me go over to my back office, see if I'm showing up. Yep, there I am. I got excellent conditions on it. Oh, what's up, Lisa? How are you going? How are things going? Everything's going pretty good. Glad you could join me. If you got any cybersecurity questions or technology questions, just put them in the chat. I'm just going to go over the videos I just did this week to let people fall in. Glad you can join me. So once again, just going to go over the videos I did this week real quick, give people time to fall in. So SSH putty backdoor. Everybody uses SSH to work on boxes from their home or in the office. So somebody, as you've seen from the picture, was dropping malware in SSH. That way they could hackers can tunnel in and you wouldn't see them because it's encrypted, right? So it's hard to pick up when they use encryption transmission. So once again, just check that video out at SSH. There was a backdoor being dropped in by the hackers if you downloaded that specific version of SSH. One thing is, everybody know I'm in my AWS thing. So AWS has some called System Manager, where you can actually work on your servers in the backend without using SSH and opening unnecessary ports. So check that out. Let's see what Lisa says. I'm so bad. It's all good. I've been putting a lot of videos at least. I appreciate the support. I've been on my grind lately for some reason. I've been putting out like a video every day and I went like live a couple times. So it's a lot. It's a lot. My short ones are pretty short though, but it's a lot. It's all good. Once again, if you got any comments on those videos, I answer probably 99% of comments people leave on those videos. The one I don't answer for some reason, YouTube is not showing me. So no problems. I put out a lot, Lisa. So all good. I appreciate the support. So my man JM, how do computers makers like HP or Dell feel about infrastructure as computing as services in the cloud, Professor? They're a little nervous, right? Especially from a service perspective. They're trying to figure out what is their future model going to be. A lot of times, I think they do have a few of those cloud vendors, but the cloud vendors are putting together their own PCs with their own proprietary software. So there's a lot of those. If you look, JM Dell and HP, they go into a lot of service contracts where they come in to help you to set up your on-prem stuff from a security perspective and an operational perspective. So they're actually getting into consulting now. What's up, Helmet? Glad you could join me. Salute. So yeah, they're nervous, Jam. They trying to pivot out to their next model. The first business I was in 1990. We used to make PCs for Fortune 500 companies before you could go out to people like HP and Dell and buy them, right? So now HP and Dell's worried because it keeps going up the value chain. I made $1 million with a PC business and shipping them to Lilly was a Fortune 500 company in Indianapolis. We used to build PCs for. So it's just a cycle, JM. So you just got to figure out your next business and where you fit in. And for them, it's consulting. So let's see the other video I did this week. Going down real quick. Elderly cyber scams. I don't. It actually showed a video of an elderly guy talking because elderly people have 401ks and IRAs. So the scammers are tricking the elderly out of their retirement fund, which is a shame. But from a cybersecurity and scammer, that's where the money is really, right? So, and a lot of times they don't. They're so embarrassed they don't even tell their kids that their money was stolen. One lady, her father got her money stolen, and she was very depressed and blaming herself because her dad was so self-sufficient for so long. He really didn't want her to help her, and then she felt bad where she probably should have been pressing him a little more. So watch out for the elderly, watch out for your parents, watch out for your older uncles, because they're a prime target for cyber scams, right? And they always fall for them. This is a social security company. We're gonna take over your bank account, give us this information, right? So they fall for those type of scams. So let's check on the elderly and keep an eye on them and watch them out for the scams. I appreciate it. Yeah, I went live yesterday. So yeah, IBM does a lot. Oh yeah, IBM. People forget IBM was the Facebook and the AWS of its time, and they ran the mainframe game. But once again, you go through those technology cycles. Yeah, IBM is into consulting and into artificial intelligence and machine learning, and hospitals and Watson. That's their niche really, and they're actually into multi-cloud. So they help you with AWS, GCP, and Azure, right? So IBM's doing that multi-cloud thing too. I feel you, man. Got to be busy. But once again, check on the old people. They're out there getting scammed. This one was, I don't know, this was so high school. Morgan Stanley sold some hard drives to a charity and didn't wipe the drives, right? So people start seeing their client list on their PCs that they're sold, which is so basic, right? When you get rid of PCs, if you destroy them or sell them, you should drill holes in the hard drives or wipe them yourself. We actually wipe them and drill holes into them, right? A lot of people don't know. I work at federal clients, so you actually have to drill a hole in it. The specialized vendors has to erase it. It's called degaussing. It actually erased the disk, I think, 11 times. Then you drill holes in it. Then you write an attestation with the server serial number on it that you destroyed the disk, right, at the federal level. Once again, I do a lot of work with the IRS, but once again, this is a high school mistake. It cost them $35 million, but for Morgan Stanley, what's that up? A week's worth of profits, a month at the most. So come on, Morgan Stanley, you got to do a little better. So that is a good question. They didn't release it in there. I'm sure somebody got a reprimand at least. Like that is so basic, but we still not doing the basic stuff right. That's the sad part about it. We're not doing the basic stuff right. I'm about to get some glasses. I'm so old. But yeah, so yeah, we dropped about DNS shadowing and hijacking. Basically, in your DNS, somebody actually goes in and with your sub URLs and your subdomains, they actually add one in there you're not aware of, and it actually takes you to a hacked website where you would get malware. So that's the picture at the bottom. So they add a extra URL or DNS there. You click on it, takes you to the compromised system. You get malware. And a lot of times is if you get into the DNS, they call it DNS poisoning too. You get on there and change that information. Most people won't even realize it, right? Because a lot of people don't check the DNS registry, right? So, and then there I talked about DNS Sec, which is DNS security, how you can actually write a hashing, put a hashing function on there. So if the hacker puts a new URL and doesn't add the hash, you know it's bad, right? So that's in that I put that in there too about the DNS sec. A lot of people are not hip to the DNS sec. Yeah, true, man. We gotta do better. We gotta get our encryption on. Encryption is to me at the top of the list when you talk about cybersecurity. Encryption, MFA, there's some stuff too, and it's easy to do. Especially if you're doing Windows, you got BitLocker. You just click a button and you got automatically encryption on there, right? So once you do the operating system, or if they pull that hard drive and put it in something without the key, you have to erase the hard drive to use it. That's just basic 101 from security. Last night I did a live. I don't know why I was just in the mood. I couldn't sleep. I did deepfakes, fooling people and companies. This guy even said he's what I think it was Unreal Keanu. So people were trying to figure out that's actually a deep fake where he puts a computer generated face over top of his, right, to be Keanu Reeves. So the cool thing is he's getting a ton of TikTok stuff, and he's probably making $10,000-$20,000 a month with this deep fake, right? So then the other part of that is people using deep fake with remote jobs. So one part is you get the job and you're using somebody else's voice and stuff, and they get on there and fake like they're you, right, to pass the test to get the job. And the other part of that is nation states are doing that to get in big tech so they can steal your algorithms, your client list. If you're a Fortune 500 company, your medical compound. So a lot of the hackers are using that. So yeah, exactly. BitLocker is just so easy to use straight out the box. And two, if you're a Lux inside Windows, you can click a button and get those straight out the box from an encryption standpoint. If I physically remove a hard drive from a computer that uses BitLocker, will the hard drive still be encrypted? Yes. But what I could do is, which is what I want you to do, is when I put it into a new machine, it's not going to see the key. So I can still go in and attach it, but I would have to erase that hard drive to use the JM, which is cool for me. Long as my data gets erased, I don't care. But no, so yeah, you can physically remove it, put it in. The encryption key is actually in the OS. So when you use it, if it can't find that encryption key that was used for it, you just got to erase it to use it. But yeah, it still will be encrypted. Definitely encrypted. Actually, it's FIPS 140-2-3 with government level encrypted, meaning the government validated that encryption on a BitLocker. This was scary. Schools were swatted across the United States. I think there were like 7 states where people were making false police reports, false FBI reports. In there, I actually showed one of the kids in high school videotaped the police coming into their class with their guns drawn and telling all the kids, put your hands up, put your hands up. So they were going through checking stuff, tell the kids to give them a thumb up. But they came in, AKs drawn. And I think it was the AR-15. He had it pointed down, but he had it drawn. So yeah, they were swatting kids and stuff. It was crazy, man. So we got to do better than that. Let's see what my man said. Good check. Oh, yeah, that's 2. I don't know if that's FIPS, though. I would have to check on the FIPS list on that helmet. I do, I do that federal life, man. I need the government to sign off on it so I could use it, right? MFA fatigue, we know that's with Uber, right? They tricked whoever it was. They kept sending them MFA requests. They stole their passwords, I think, from the dark web, but they were MFA protected, so they had to get the employee or the contractor to hit the button for MFA right there. So they just kept sending like 100 MFA requests in like 15 minutes. It was 1 a.m. and I guess the person gave up and hit okay. They kept telling them they were part of support. So if somebody does that to you, the only thing you have to do is go in and just change the password. Then you're done. Then they won't have the password to be able to send you the MFA request, right? Too, and make sure that when you change the password, check to make sure they didn't change the email where the password request going to, right? So we got to stay on top of that. And 2, the biggest one we were talking about was Uber hacked by the teen. He was very disrespectful. So somebody said, "Are we gonna hire the teenager? You're not gonna hack my website, then taunt me with my internal email and then taunt me on my internal Slack, talking about I hacked you and you think I'm gonna hire you." That will be a no. So if you're trying to get a job and you hacking, be nice to the people. I mean, he was so disrespectful. They thought it was somebody internal playing a trick on him. So if you're gonna be disrespectful, we're not gonna hire you. So shout out to the kid though. He was doing his thing. So he's arrested in the UK. It's gonna be interesting to see what the charge is gonna be. I had to think about it. I said I would want to hit him hard, but we had a problem at work where some young person got upset and stole a laptop. We work at a federal building, right? And I'm gonna have the CISO on, so we were having a debate. He actually wanted to hit the young person with the state police and maybe a federal charge. I'm like, dude, I do not want to give a 22-year-old federal charge because he got upset and stole a $200 laptop, right? So I think we got to balance that. So me personally, if I know you didn't steal any data, I know you stole a little training laptop because you got emotional, right? I'm not trying to hit you with any Fed charges, right? Me personally, because I know what that would do to your life, right? So, so we were debating that. So, are you familiar with Bitwarden, password vault. Professor, do you approve the use of password vaults? Oh, JM, that's a deep question for me. 5 years ago, I would not approve the password vault. I actually was a web admin. I had to change 100 to 150 passwords every 60 days. I had 2 hours on my calendar where I would go through and change passwords on all those VMs. Then inside the web app, since the web app queried the database, I got not the DBA password, but I got at least a query user from the database inside the web app I had to change, right? Two password vaults are a lot better. So I'm still going back and forth because I'm using this term wrong. Shout out to CL if he comes in here. I believe the pass vault is the honeypot because if I hack your pass vault and I got the DBA's password, the SA password, all the passwords are in one location, JM. So that always makes my heart palpitate a little bit on that, JM. So I would have to think about that. I like the theory. They're a lot better, especially a lot of companies, you share them. So the DBA's in there checking passwords in and out. Granted, a lot of times when you use them, it changes them. But still, if a hacker got to the password vault, right, and we're sharing it as a company, we got cron jobs and AWS cloud jobs pulling passwords out there using them. So if I get that password vault, JM, I got all the passwords. So I'm still, I don't know, JM. If we want to try. So I'm still thinking about that, JM. I was 5 years ago, I was 100% no. So now I'm teetering. I'm like 51% no. So I'm still thinking, would you give the kids some community time internally in the company or then a job? Hellman, I'm not giving him a job because he embarrassed my cybersecurity team. Now, if he would have hacked if he would have hacked Uber or hacked my company, sent me a private message saying, "Sir, I hacked your company. Here's the holes we found in your company. Here's the vulnerabilities for these versions. I was trying to do a red team exercise, and I wanted you to show you my capability." No, Hellman, he owned every magazine. He on Twitter. He on LinkedIn. He just clowning too much for me, Hellman. So no, I'm not hiring him. Probably community time. No job. Let's start from the back. No job, Hellman. He was smelling himself. That's what the old people say. I didn't like that. He was trying to embarrass me, Hellman. I don't like that. Turning the company, nah. Community time, probably. Misdemeanor, most definitely. Slap on the wrist, definitely. Fair time, absolutely not. Real jail time, no. Work release, most definitely. He had to go to take those skills and teach some underprivileged kids some security skills or some word or something. You know, he had to work with a community program, something like that, Helmet. That's what I will probably do, but I use about MS OneDrive for my personal doc banks ups when try. That's not bad. That's not bad. Yeah, you can't. Yeah, see, right there. See, now it's like I said, if he'd have did something behind the scenes, I probably would have hired him, man, or hooked him up in the program or something. Got him some credit so he can go to the nearby college or something. You can't be dumping on me publicly, man. Then ask me for a job. That's a no-go. But now let's go and get it. So we talking about high performance. Me and Engineering Cannabis, aka AIME, was talking last night. Everybody knows he's an artificial intelligence and machine learning. That's high performance computing. Mean we're gonna go through a billion rows. We're looking for molecules. We talking about arbitration, arbitrage on data with financial data. You probably gonna need at least 5 years of financial data, right? That's billions and billions of rows to go through to make sure your formula is correct, right? So you need a high performance setup. Right now, a lot of times that's super expensive on site. So how could you do that in the cloud? Run your test over 2x, then shut down all your EC tools, all your computer power, and give it back, right? Make it much more affordable. So once again, let's get into it. High performance computing accelerates information with fast networking and virtually unlimited infrastructure. Run large, complex simulation and deep learning workloads in the cloud. Complete suite of high performance computing products and services on AWS. Gain Insight faster, quickly move from ideal to market, virtually unlimited computer capacity, high performance file system, and high throughput, right? So now we're not running with the basic setup, right? We're going with high performance. What's that going to actually look like, in the future when we use it? Right? Accelerate innovation, broad range of cloud services like machine learning analyticals, plus tools and infrastructure to quickly design, optimize performance, find the perfect fit for your infrastructure needs, solve real world problems with your choice of largest selection and capacity of high performance computing, fast networking storage. So you can spin up a customized high performance computing infrastructure for what you're doing at the time, right? Is that medical? Is that financial? I did one where we were talking about the electric grid going down. Part of the electric grid was going down is when you take electricity on, you had to disperse it. So a couple lines were down, and it caused a feedback loop, and the rest of New York ended up going down. I think it was 2003 where they were down. I think it was 29 hours. So people were stuck in elevators. The train system was down, right? When your city goes down, there's high rises. There's people stuck in elevators on the 70th floor and stuff, right? So you need a high performance computer system to take all the information. Because when you're doing electricity, it's taking information from lines, grids, substation. I think they said it was 3,000 substations across the United States, where each one of them takes care of itself as a small municipality, but they all roll into each other. So if one goes down, the other one goes down. The reason they do that is if one goes down, it stops it from cascading. So, right. So the whole nation doesn't go down. But sometimes it cascades and causes something else to cascade, right? But the goal is once you cascade, you break the electricity current, right? So the whole nation doesn't go down. That's a ton of information, right? And here is just, let's see. Yep, that was the last one. If you look, just a quick calculation, a million row file is small these days, right? So when you talk about high performance, if you say a million rows and each rows take a second to complete, I get the row, I do some calculations, I save it to an app server, save it to a database, it runs through the whole pipeline. If one rows take a second, a million seconds is 11 days, right? So even though you think a second is quick, when you talk about high performance, big data, big computation, you need to be talking about a millionth of a second, right? Because even let's say that's a second. If you did it in a half a second, that's still 6 days. If you did it in 25 per second, 25th of a second divided in 4, that's still 2 days. Usually your operational window is like 6 or 7 hours to get something completed at night, right? So that means you got to start doing 1,000 records in a second to get done in a 4-hour period, right? So when you talk about high performance computers, right? Now we talking a billion rows or even trillion rows, right? That's why you need high performing infrastructure, high performing database, high performance web server, right? Because a million rows now is commonplace, right? Every company's usually dealing with a million, but once again, a second you think is fast, a million seconds is 11 days, right? From a performance standpoint. I used to do big warehouse, big data in 2005, 2007. So I actually ran into a problem. I thought it was fast, and I calculated how long it was going to take me to go through a billion rows. I was like, ooh, that would be 2 weeks, right? So I had to work on my, back then it was my SQL statements, making them much more performance. But once again, a million seconds, right? We got a million row file, a million seconds is 11 days. Way too slow, right? We got to get it going. Shout out to NC Worker for joining us. All right. So when you talk about big data and speed, remember a second is way too long. I told my boss I was taking like a quarter of a second for a record. He goes, that's way too slow. You got to speed it up, right? Because a million rows, 1 row a second is 11 days. Way too long. People trying to get stuff done in 2 hours, an hour, 30 minutes, right? So that's where you need where high performance computing comes in. So let's get on it, right? So this is Western Digital. They run 2.3 million simulation jobs. They ran them on a high performance cluster with 1 million virtual CPUs built using Amazon EC2 spot instances. The time went from 20 days like we just showed on there, 20 days to 8 hours, right? So if you can use high performance power, so now how many more simulations can you run? How many more things can you solve? If you go from 20 days, you get 2 things ran in a month to now you running a job every day, right? A simulation every day. So how quickly can you solve? How many more things can you bring to fruition to make sure the company's profitable? Or even the opposite, how quickly can you feel? One of my favorite companies used to say, the best thing to a yes is a quick no. Why? Because if you keep saying no, you burning up time. So if you can get to a quick no, that's not going to work right. You can run another simulation. And through that, these things I'll use big data, high performance computing, life science, discovering drugs, financial risk, quantitative quants. You know, we were talking about arbitrage and digital currency. I was on another platform. We was talking about could we arbitrage digital currency, Bitcoin versus Ethereum, right? Oil and gas, right? Reservoir modeling, seismic imaging, right? So all of these things, once again, high performance computing, a lot of variables, and how quickly can you solve it? So AI and ML, autonomous vehicles, the AI revolution, which started with rapid increase in accuracy brought by deep learning methods, have potential to revolutionize variety of industry. Autonomous driving is a particular popular case for AI and ML. Developing and deploying autonomous vehicles require the ability to collect, store, and manage a massive amount of data, high performance computer capacity, advanced deep learning frameworks, along with the capabilities to do real-time processing of local rules in the event the vehicle, virtually unlimited storage, compute capacity, and support of popular deep learning frameworks, accelerate algorithm training, testing, and driving faster time to market, right? So that's what really computers were designed to do, right? We're just trying to level it up so you can do big projects. Let's see what my man James said. You can also now play high performance video game. No, true is because I'm old enough. I remember when people thought Pong was the shit, right? Which was 2 little dots. Now, oh, favorite story. Shout out to my mom. She passed away about 3 years ago. My son was playing Mortal Kombat. He reached into the guy's chest and pulled out his spine and his heart. My mom said, what's going on with that? Because it was graphic. The heart was beating, blood spraying down. And my mother was like, what the hell is he playing? But no, you're right. High performance and high graphics, JM. Those games are. And 2 is, let's talk about virtual reality. I used to have the Samsung phone with the virtual reality. I was on this raft game where you turn around, you can still see the birds behind you. I was actually getting seasick in the game, JM, because the way the raft is going up and down, and when you turn, you can still see like the mountains going up and down. It was crazy, JM. It was like fake mist kind of hitting the goggles. I started rubbing my head like real water was coming on me, JM. So now all of that's going to be more virtual, right? And now when you put the goggles on, now we're going to get, that's what the metaverse really is all about, JM. When you talk about the metaverse and Tony Stark making a motor so you can see all the parts, when you're doing driving games, right? Just the realistic of it. You start flinching because you think you really getting shot. You really think you getting hit, right? So now, JM, that's where you need all this computer power, right? And all this performance stuff. And now when you talk about playing large video games, where you playing with 20 million people inside the game, right? Y'all might not all be in the same spot, but it's got to manage all that, right? Especially in virtual reality, you flying in the air. So now that's high performance video games. I think it's going to take another leap. Long story short, Amazon's got their video SDK to help you develop the games. You can actually develop a Roblox game for the kids. So I was actually thinking about trying to develop a Roblox security game, because a lot of those games are actually developed by the kids and gaming companies, right? They give you the platform and you create your game inside there. So you can create your own Roblox, I guess, division, so they can check in and play that particular game. So I was actually thinking about trying to do a cybersecurity game. So I was actually going to reach out to Savage Scientist and Citizen Lou because they're the programmers in the space. So I was thinking about trying to do your game, but no, you're right. So definitely, the video is doing some serious texting. Oh, definitely. The cool thing is, and we're going to get to there, is NVIDIA's writing some of the drivers for AWS. So when you do your um, graphics portion for that, it's actually using, I believe, the NVIDIA driver on top of their hardware. So that's definitely 100% on that helmet. So we're going to touch on pieces of this, right? The data management part. How do you get your data up into the cloud so you can do these type of big computing things, right? You can do data sync, snowball, snowmobile, and direct connect. Direct connect is actually you joining with your ISP or your phone company. You actually have a rack in their data center. Then AWS has a rack in their data center too. So your company's rack is in their data center, and AWS, right, they're right next to each other. So you get phenomenal speed. Snowmobile, I did this a long time ago. If you have a big company, they actually have a semi. They drive out to your company. They actually hook it up to the semi, and they get all your data at fiber optics from their building to their semi with guards, right? Then they drive your data back to AWS and load it up, right? I think you need something above 100 terabytes, I think, to get the snowmobile. I was actually joking with AWS. I want to see the snowmobile. I want to see the 18-wheeler roll out with your data on it. So, then two is this where we're going to focus on and talk is computer networking. EC2s, CPU, GPU, FPG are different types of data load. So depending on the type of data load, I can give you a certain type of server, right? EC2, standard Linux or Windows operating system. Spot is how you pay for it. If you can click a spot instance, what spot means from a payment perspective is spot instance means you can use it, but if AWS clients for that region's out of space, they're going to take that instance and give it to their paying customer, right? So what that does is, though, since it's not being used and they can take it, you get it for 80% off, right? So what that means is whatever workload you're using, it needs to be able to stop in an hour and be able to start itself back up in the same location. So there's a lot of warehouse jobs where we mark the record. So if something happened, we know where the last record was marked and we can start it from the exact same spot. So when you use a spot instance, that's what you want your workloads to do because you can save 90%. So any labs I do, right, I'm spinning up a pretty big infrastructure in these labs, but I end up charging maybe at the most $3 that day because I'm using spot instance. So I might spin up 5 instance, Windows 2019 instance, Amazon Linux 2 instance, a Lambda database, and some other stuff. But since I'm using spot instance means if they need it, they'll take it. I get it for 90% off. So auto scaling placement groups, we're going to drill in that. Enhanced networking and elastic fiber. How do we change the networking on EC2 from some standard to something super quick, right? And we're going to dig into those numbers and look at them. Storage, the big one on here is FX Luster, which is a high performing disk drive you can use, right? So if I'm moving 1 billion records, I need to be able to save 1 billion records at that same amount of speed. I'm not going to calculate 1 billion records and put it on a slow EPS, right? So now my wait time is me writing to the disk, right? I need something high performing to handle that amount of data that I'm high performance, right? Then here's parallel clusters, and we're going to dig into that. Basically, you could take a job with 1 billion records, but split it into 20 jobs. So now I got 20 EC2s working on those jobs in parallel, right? And not sequentially. Right? And visualization, right? So at the bottom, same security that works. AWS identity and access management works the same way, even if you're in high performance or regular. And AWS budget, like spot instance, you can keep track of your money to make sure you're not going to be bankrupt trying to do this, right? So, yes, this is Oculus VR is crazy. Yeah, man, Helmet, that VR is getting good, man. Shout out to Mark Zuckerberg, man. I don't know if he's going to lead the charge, but he's been talking about that that virtual reality and that metaverse. They clowned him for his first version. They said it looked like a kid. It looked like it was graphics from 1990. What's up, Wayne Wallace? Glad you could join us. So yeah, and that's it. You can do Oculus, and everybody's gonna have their flavor on it. Apple's working on their flavor. Even Oracle's working on their flavor. Microsoft with their gaming consoles working on it. So it's not gonna be one company that's gonna dominate it totally, right? One company's gonna have a big, but there's gonna be probably 10 other vendors because you're gonna have interoperability between different metaverses. So this is one way to do it. So this is a standard infrastructure here. Standard infrastructure here. So we got the users coming into your gateway, Lambda, session manager. Basically, this is the secret sauce up here. We got the clusters. You got your head node cluster, then your EC2s or Fargates running those jobs. Then once again, we can split a billion row job into 3 jobs or have 2 jobs running each one, right? So we can do those in parallel. So that's where the high performance is coming in, right? And each one of those, we're going to talk about what you need to change to make it high performance. Here's another one too, isn't like we were talking about the NVIDIA chip. If you have something with particularly a graphic GPU queue, because some workloads are going to need more graphics, some's going to need more compute, and some's going to need high memory, right? So inside up here, right, is the parallel cluster. And as we look at those records and those particular computations, calculations, or architecture, how we need to process it, this head node right here on the queue is going to send it to the popular backend queue that's going to for that type of work, right? You got some graphics processing, some compute, and high memory, right? So I might have something that's strictly financial where I'm doing calculation. I might be doing electricity. I think it'd be more graphic calculation, right? Because it's gonna be pure math, right? It's not gonna be mere day. It's gonna be me just calculating pure numbers, right? The compute for a large data warehouse would be compute. So depending on what my parallel cluster figures out what workload it needs to be, and I put it in that queue. Then in that queue, I'm gonna mark what type of backend job needs to pull it, right? So that's when we're talking about using high performance clusters, right? I got particular EC2s configured to do certain jobs, right? These EC2s are gonna cost me a little more than standard, but they're gonna run a lot quicker, right? So I'm gonna pay more and I should get more throughput. And we're gonna talk about each one of those at a different level. See what my man Helmet talking about. Funny thing, Facebook was better than MySpace. Meta could be the MySpace of VR. That could be. The only difference is what makes it a little different. And I agree with you mostly in principle is Facebook, MySpace was making some money, but a little money. Facebook makes a crazy amount of money, and Facebook is becoming infrastructure code. What I mean by Facebook and infrastructure code is a lot of companies use Facebook for authentication and authorization. You go to their website and they go, "You want to use your Facebook username and password?" A lot of companies says yes because they don't want to do that type of infrastructure for them, right? So Facebook is becoming infrastructure code to a lot of small companies. So when they go down, a lot of companies go down and can't do business, Helmet. So I think that's the slight difference is I think people miss when they talk about Facebook. Now, Facebook, I think, is an older company. I think Facebook is not, as hip as it used to be, but Facebook is getting to that infrastructure code like IBM. So they're going to be around a long time, right? Would I use Facebook for my authorization and authentication? No, I would not. But a lot of people do. Facebook, yeah, multinational. So ease up on Facebook, Helmet. Ease up on them now. But they do a lot of stuff I don't like, but they do a lot of infrastructure people not even aware of. Facebook has fiber underground in the ocean. A lot of times other government entities use Facebook fiber to get under the ocean. They're one of the few companies that drop fiber in the ocean. That's how big they are, right? So Facebook's got a lot of dark fiber they done turned on, right? For wire to wire underground to your house, right? The last mile. Facebook on a lot of infrastructure code. Like I said, they got a feed under the ocean, right? So they about that life. See what Hillman said on there. So they're in a position to buy, yeah, then they do that. They buy Oculus. People don't realize they buy Instagram and the I always say this is the guy from Snapchat. I think when he was in college, they offered him $800 million and he said no. I'd have punched him in his face if we would have sold to Facebook, right? So if you think they really should have owned Facebook, Instagram, and Snapchat. So he has a decent eye for companies. And two is they make so much money, right? They buy these to fill in the gap, right? They don't really buy to make money. If they're missing some in their portfolio gap, they just buy it, right? AWS, we talked about this machine learning analytics, fast networking. So let's dig into the EC2s a little more. So EC2 offers the broadest set of deepest platform, offers 500 instances, choice of the latest processors, storage, networking, operating system, purchase models. You can get anything from Intel, AMD, ARM processor for on-demand cloud. You can do 400 gigabits of Ethernet with the best price available. You can do SAP, AWS, support virtually any workload with the secure, resizable compute capacity with the Amazon Elastic Cloud Compute. That's the EC2. It's the cloud compute with the latest generation of processor. And remember, you rent it, so once you use it, your auto scale is gonna. Once you're done with it, it's gonna take it out of your auto scale and give it back, right? So you're not paying for it for the whole amount of time. So even though you're doing high performance compute, you might just pay a large sum for a week, right? And then give it all back. That's the beauty of it. Here, that's pretty good. Here they have we were talking about that. Remember, we were looking at a compute optimized EC2. It's high compute 6A. All right. Compute optimized instance ideally for compute bound applications that benefit from a high performance processors. Belonging to this family, scientific modeling, dedicated gaming server, ad server engine, machine learning inference, and other intensive applications. Uh, the HPC6A are optimized for tightly coupled, compute intensive, high performance computer loads. Cost efficient. It's done with the AMD EPYX processor. You get the elastic fiber adapter to enable internal network bandwidth up to 100 gigabits, right? So you see it at the bottom. So it specializes to be able to do a compute intensive 100 gigabits on the network, right? So your traffic's flying with your EFA. They got their special AWS Nitro system, right? So you get 384 memory gigabits. You get 96 cores. You get 800 gigabits of speed on your network adapter, right? And your network bandwidth is 25 GBS too, right? So they have these machines pre-built for high performance computing, right? Something you don't have to think about, it's ready to go. So that's the beauty of it. So what is elastic fiber adapter, right? So it's a network EC2 interface with the high-level internode communications. It's a network interface specifically designed for Amazon EC2, enables customers to run applications requiring high-level internode communication at scale. Its custom-built operating systems bypass hardware interfaces, enhancing performance for inter-instance communication, which is critical to scaling with the EFA, which is elastic fiber adapter. It's high performance computing, message passes interface, machine learning, like my man Helmut said, using the NVIDIA right there, NVIDIA collective communication library can scale to thousands of GPUs or CPUs. And my man, I think Helmut said the NVIDIA. Let me roll scope. Yeah, he's talking about, yep, Helmut said the NVIDIA. So they license that to AWS so they can get that crazy amount of EC2s talking to each other, right? Because we're doing high performance. So, and here it is. We're just gonna look at it, right? So this is a standard, right? So if you're talking about that, your TCP/IP, right? Stack flow, and over here is the EFA stack, right, from NVIDIA, right? So they skipped the whole TCP stack. They did a live fabric because they know they're not gonna go up and down the OSI model stack. If y'all studying, that's on every security quest, right? The OSI model stack, they took that out and put the live fiber in there with a kernel driver because they know they're not going to go up and down the stack. They know it's going to be communicating with an EC2, so they don't need the whole stack for the OSI model, right? So that's what they're doing right there. Low latency and reliable transport functionality. So And they're right. The standard is 10 gigabits. When you go EFA, like my man Helman said with the NVIDIA, you get 100 gigabits a second out of your networking, right? So you go from 10, you get a 10x on top of that, right? So now we're talking about, once again, high performance, getting it there. How do we handle those large loads, right? Cluster placement. Cluster placement is a logical grouping of an instance in a single availability. Cluster placement group can span period VBCs in the same group. Instance same cluster placement groups enjoy a high per flow throughput with TCP/IP traffic, are placed in the same high bisection bandwidth segment of the network. Cluster placement groups are recommended for applications with low latency, high network throughput, or both. So what that means is hopefully you're going to get the same racking and the same availability zone, right? Because we're going to have those pizza boxes in the same rack. So now we're not going to another availability zone. We're not going even to another rack. All our stuff are in one rack or into a rack next to each other, right? So, see, they're all interconnected, right? So now we talked about having a monolith, say a programming language. We're going to break that up in microservices. If we have it in the same rack in the same AZ, you're probably going to get the same speed as you was, or close to, if you were a monolith, right? Because remember, we cut on the EFA, so it's running 100 megabits. They're right next to each other in the same rack, right? So now you get ultimate speed, right, and reliability of that, right? Now, the one thing you do lose, if that rack goes down, you're going to be down, right? Theoretically, we would take the whole rack and replicate that to another AZ in the same region, but we would start with all our loads running in the same rack in the same AZ so we can get that speed, right? So part of that is the AWS Parallel Cluster, which is an open source tool that simplifies deployment and management of that. So what we just looked at here, you need special management tool to handle that, to do those in parallel, right? AWS like, yeah, we got you. We got something for that, right? Parallel Cluster, open source management tool that makes it easy. My father get a drink of water, making it easier for you to manage that. Use a simple text file and it spins up all your stuff. We know automation is it. So CloudFormation is there if you do Ansible. So this is kind of their tool for you to manage that in a parallel cluster. Right? You give the file and it tells you how many clusters are spin up, how many instant nodes. You want the placement in a cluster group, right? So because you want one rack and one availability zone. So that's kind of what AWS Parallel Cluster does for that. Right? So it's kind of as a Python package. You install it, designs your cluster, you launch your cluster, you log into it. Then the cluster, each one of those you submit a job to in your job scheduler, right? And two is, shout out to my man, we were together last night, is this what I was set up for engineering cannabis, right? For artificial intelligence and machine learning. This will build his data sets for stuff he needs to train his model with. So he would describe what his model was, right? I would describe it. And this is what you would use to build those models out, especially if it was a lot of data, financial data, economy data, or whatever that training situation was. Usually when you train something, you need a lot of rows, right? You need billions of rows to train something, right? So you see here, that's the cluster. You come in the gateway. Cognito's doing your application, authentication, and authorization. Session manager, once again, these are the clusters that we looked at there that will be built. And we saw the ones, they could be a GPU job, a CPU job, and a memory, right? Depending on the workload your cluster user was sending it, right? And there's the cluster API down there. So just different ways to just set it up. So I wanted to do some research on so I could just kind of learn about the different pieces. Even if you're not doing high performance computing, if you ran into a problem and you needed a little more speed, those are just individual components you could use for a regular job, right? And we kind of talk a little bit about that at the end, right? So the other part of that is Luster is fully managed service that provides cost-effective, high-performance, scalable storage for computing workloads powered by Lustre, the most popular high-performance file system. Shares storage with sub-millisecond latency, up to terabytes per second of throughput, and millions of IOPS. The Lustre file system also can be linked to an S3 bucket, allowing you to process data concurrently from both the high-performance file system and from an S3 API. Right, so you can mix and match. I wouldn't put an S3, but I would put it out on Lustre on a file system. But some things are, once again, easier to use in S3 buckets. So you can improve your workload performance, scale up to a terabyte per second of throughput, and millions of IHOPS. Like we said, we got all that processing. When we write it to disk, we don't want the disk to be the bottleneck. So that's why you would use FX Lustre, right? Low latency disk data access. The average first byte latency when you access a file data is sub-milliseconds on an SSD-based file system and single-digit milliseconds on a hard disk-based file system. So I would actually use an SSD-based file system. It's going to be a little more, but if you need that extra speed, right, because we're writing a trillion rows, right? So make sure we get that in. So that's kind of high performance, parallel, right into that 100 gigabits of throughput, millions of records of IHOP, consistent sub-millisecond latency. They're your SSD RAMs over here, what the disk is writing to. Support congruent access from hundreds of thousands of cores, right? So, because you saw that we're spinning up multiple cores, we got them all into one rack and in one data center, right, to get the maximum amount. So, shout out to Calvin. I'm late to party, but good afternoon. Yeah, my Colts were losing, so I decided to just stay on my 3 o'clock. Houston 20, Chicago 20 right now. Okay, that's cool. Colts, I think we were down 9, and it looked like Kansas City was about to score. But you want to get on the FX Lustre, you can use this for other projects, right? So if you're using some big data or you in a web server and you need to write out something in sub-millisecond time, you don't want to do it on an S3 bucket. You doing it on multiple cores, right? Because you got about 10 EC2 spun up that's running parallel jobs. You can just use the FX Lustre, right, off of a EFX and share that file system between your EC2s, right? And just use it for the speed. Even if it's for a temporary job, you need to get something done, you can use this file system for that, then move it over to S3 later. So once again, these were components we were using. Right here, we all using EC2. Once again, spot instance for the money. Auto scaling placement groups. We want to use one cabinet, one AZ, right? Enhanced networking. We showed the elastic fiber adapter, right? Which is a network card on the EC2. Instead of running 10 gig, it was running 100 gig, right? 10 times more speed. Storage, we're going to use the Amazon FX Lustre, right? Trillions, getting those IOPS through, parallel cluster, right? So you don't really have to use it in high performance. You can pick out bits and pieces of that in your regular architecture, right? You, for some reason, you're getting a big bank file and you need to speed it up, right? So you can use a special EC2 with EC2 spot instance to save money. You want it to speed up on a network, you can use the elastic fabric adapter, right? If they're got some in Amazon and you got some, if you both cut on the EFA and use it on the Amazon backplane, right? You can spend it, you can speed it up 100 times, right? You just spend one charge just for that one time to get that extra speed with the enhanced networking with the elastic fiber adapter, right? Get you the GPU, right? Get that NVIDIA calculation going on there, right? With the Lustre. So if you just had a special project, need to get something done, you can use bits and pieces of high computing. You don't have to use it all, right? So Gabe's on. I got to figure out what's going on with Gabe. What's up, Gabe? Salute. I think my account's blocked. Let me see if you blocked. Let me check you out while you here. How you doing, Gabe? I'm not blocking you. Let's see. Now remove. Hi. Put in. Remove. I don't think it doesn't say you blocked. Hi. Put in timeout. Pin. Remove. I got you as a moderator. I don't know if it's my restream don't like you, But when you come in that struggle stream, and I can see you, Gabe, I got to check on that. But once again, high performance computing, you can pick which one of those resources. You can use them all together as a high performance computing, or you can pick and choose for a particular project. Once again, what you would use. So that's one reason I start really digging into it. Right, if I'm working on a particular project, like I said, I could use a particular EC2, like my man Helmet said, get that NVIDIA chip with the GPU, use the placement groups. I want all my boxes in the same rack, right? So I can get sub-millisecond communication time, right? I do the elastic fabric adapter, not the standard. The standard you get 10 GB. If I use the elastic FA, but I got to pay a little more, I can get 100 throughput, right, on the AWS network, right? So we can pick and choose which pieces of that you want to use for your particular architecture, right? So shout out to that. Mine is blocked. It is grayed. You're not blocked out. I can see you, Wilton. I can't see Gabe. I can see Gabe because I can look at my YouTube back in office, but my restream, I got to figure out. I actually sent something to restream. They didn't think he was blocked, so I got to figure out what's going on. But Gabe has another YouTube channel, so I don't know if it's how it's figured that out, that it knows he has his struggle channel. I don't know. I got to figure that out. But once again, that's one reason I was looking at high performance is so I can figure out if I needed to use a piece of this for a particular project, how would I do it? And at the speed I would do it at. Hold on, let me get a quick drink of water. Are you grayed out, Wilton? You're right. I can see you on the back end, but I can't see. Let's see. Did I block you? Let me see. Are you ungrayed out, Wilton? I made you a moderator. So once again, this is the full architecture right here. So we got the parallel cluster up there. You see where the users are at. We're putting everything on the queue. Then once again, got a GPU cube, a compute cube, and a high memory cube. So depending on the type of work, the Slurm is the orchestration. These are Amazon EC2 auto scaling. So as the job becomes bigger, it automatically scale up EC2s. And as the jobs finish, right, we'll start tearing down those EC2s, right? So we get the maximum amount of DAO. The other cool thing is with the Slurm and the orchestrate, when we put those jobs in the queue, we'll tell it if it's a GPU job or a compute job or a high memory job, right? So then that would hopefully speed it up. Then two is we saw the FSX down here, which is the high speed disk to write those out to. Once again, you don't want to do all this quick calculation. Then the bottleneck, right, will be the speed that you can write to the disk, right? So we want to try to maximize each one of these as a high performance service so we can get the throughput we need to finish that job, right? We saw the calculation that 1 million seconds was 15 days. So even if you take a second to do a row, if you got 1 million rows, 1 million rows would be, I think it came out to be 15 days if you took a second to do each row. And 1 million rows in 2 days cycle is super small. So Gabe, come in as struggle security. I can't see you. Well, I can pick you in the back. I don't see you blocked. Block folks can post. Not sure what's up. Yeah, I gotta see. Doesn't seem to be in chat. Helmet's helping me. I'm seeing you're posting non-gray. Okay, cool. Ooh. Problem YouTube. Yeah, maybe use a different browser. Gray names are just regular accounts. Blue names are moderators. The bright yellow is the channel host. Yeah, so it looks normal to me, but for some reason, Wilton's block and Gabe's block. Gabe usually comes in as his other channel struggled and security not Kasim. So I gotta figure out what's up with that. Thanks for the help, fellas. Let's see. If a new organization wants all their computer needs in the cloud, are there any considerations they need to take into account when choosing the computers that employees will be using at their office? No, not really. Because a lot of times too is when you go in, you actually going in through their browser. Well, I take that back, Jay. Let me roll that back. It depends on the type of work. Okay, Coach Chang. Okay, come on, Coach. We need this one. It depends, JM. I take that back. If you're a programmer, right, you need a certain type of computer power to do your development, then push it up to the cloud, right? Now, if you're just a regular user and you just using interfaces or web screens that connect to AWS, I don't think you need a certain computer. Now, if you're doing some high performance computing, some of these things you can run on your local computer to test them before you push them up, JM. So you would need a little more computer power in that, JM. So I think it just depends on the job you're doing and the job you're going to be doing in the cloud. If you're just a regular user, nah, hell, you could probably get away with those Google Chrome boxes because you just bring it up your browser, and now the computer power is being ran up in Amazon, right? So, but if you're a developer, you need a developer, and you're going to do DevSecOps or something, right? You might need a little more power to do that. Let's go, Colts, man! I need a win. They about to fire the whole organization. So that's it. Then let's see. I think I have one more. This is my man for engineering cannabis, AI and ME. He was on last night too. Is remember we put the S3 buckets here. There's the S3 buckets in the file system there. So those would be the S3 bucket, the FS. That's what he would use to train the models for whatever data we put up. So you can see the data there coming out of the S3 bucket and the file system. Once again, the I did SageMaker. So that's Amazon's machine learning, model training, model tuning, model debugger. If you see all their stuff is coming out of S3 bucket or off the file system, right? And that's what we're populating. Once again, if we were working with a machine learning or AI, we would put those data segments and those data files on the Luster file system that can get pulled through a S3 bucket as an interface. Remember, it said it was sub millisecond time. So all of this will populate the file system in an S3 bucket. Then here is the machine learning. The AI guy will pull that data out the buckets to train whatever they were using with Amazon SageMaker, right? Training job log, SageMaker managed containers, right? But all that's being pulled out the file system we populated with that data. If you were on last night, AI and ME was talking about he would needs the data to train a model. We're in that high performance computer system or building the data to put in the S3 or on the file system so he can use that to train his model. So that's basically it, right? So let's go up one more and let me look in the back office. Let me drop the link. If anybody wants to come up. So we look at this real quick. So this is us, right? High performance. We got the job cube. Once again, we got the multi-cubes. We got the GPU cubes, which is graphics, compute, high memory, depending on the model and what we need to build, right? And then once we run it through that ANI-ME, it tell us how he wants the data, flat file, JSON, Parquet. That's actually an S3 data file format. Or we could actually put it in a Lambda, which is once again a NoSQL multi-speed database. So whatever he needs it in, we can load in the file system S3 bucket. Then him with the training modules, we'll pull it out the S3 bucket of the file system, use that to train the machine learning or the artificial intelligence, and the company will be happy. So that's kind of it. Once again, I want to do something a little different because I just at a high level wanted to learn kind of the different parts from a high performance computing, the data management and data transfer, the computer networking, right? EC2, auto scaling, spot. We just looked at the instance types you can spin up, elastic file adapter, right, for your network, speeding up your network. Storage, EBS Luster, EFS S3. Then the orchestration, we can use batch or parallel cluster. The visualization, if we want to look at it. I usually don't do a lot of visualization because I'm going to turn it over to the machine learning data expert or big data expert or the quants that want to use that data to calculate it, right? Or accounting, right? They want to put it in their visualization. So I usually don't visualize the visualization because they're already going to do that. So so that's it, kind of at a high level. So once again, put any questions on there. Hopefully we can hold out. Calvin's got me feeling a little better today, so I'm going to go see what my team's doing. But I'm going to hang a little tight, see if anybody's on the back end. Let's see. Shout out to Gabe. Yeah, I got to figure out what's going on with that. When you come in and struggle streaming, I can see you, but I can't see you when you're coming. Is that now? I can't see Wilton. Let me see. I'm looking on the back end. Pin, remove. Put users, hide users in on this channel. I don't know. That's clicked. Let's see. I can see. Let's see when I do that for Helmet. If I can. Now, all this stuff looks the same as Helmet's got. Let's see if I got. I need to figure that out. Oh, I can see you now. What's up, Helmet? What's up, Wilton? I can see you now. What did you do anything special, Helmet? Or I mean, Wilton, did you do anything special, Wilton? Man, I can tell Gabe to do it. So, but that's it. Sweet. We needed that. That was about to fire everybody. But once again, put in the IT questions in the box or any cybersecurity questions in the box. I dropped the link if you want to come up and just chop it up a little bit. Shout out to the coach. We needed that. One of my homies got season tickets, but it's a chore to get downtown and back. I live close to downtown, but still, it's still a chore. It's like a 7-hour day or 8-hour day. I don't want to do that a lot of times. I just want to check it out. But once again, my thing in there, you can come up, or if you want to chat later, is just the individual components that makes up high performance computing. We don't need the whole shebang. For me, just getting the hang of the EC2s, I'm going to be labbing tonight, so I probably I always do an EC2 spot. I always have an auto scaling group. I probably place it in a clustered placement group. I don't think I've done placement groups, and I definitely haven't done elastic fabric adapter with enhanced networking. So I might spin it up in two multiple AZs, see if I can have two different target groups in two different AZs, do a placement cluster. So even though all my stuff is in one stack, in one thing, and spin it over to a FS Luster and save it into a DynamoDB database, right? So labbing every day, trying to get better, trying to use a couple of these new techniques to it. So I agree with that. For Bob better because they take 60 million again, spend 3. No, I agree with that. Every now and then I like to go, but you're right. It's in there. And I'm always moving around anyway, too. So that works great for me. So we probably talk about Robert Smith on Tuesday night. I just probably do a deep dive on him and his what's the name of his company? His Vista Equity Group. So that's probably gonna come out Tuesday. Just kind of digging him, see what he's on. When I was younger, I loved going to games, but as I grew up, now that's kind of high. Each 5 years, I get a little less interested, Calvin. You're 100%. Now, if we get to the playoffs and get to Super Bowl, I might change my mind. But yep, Vista Equity Partner. So I'm gonna break that down probably Tuesday at 10. Make that PBO at night. Somebody said that last time. I like that. We probably do a PBO at night. Look at some of the individual companies. A couple of those were security companies. Let's dig into that and see what's going on. Oh, yeah. See what companies he's buying into. I'm glad he got over those charges. He was charged with something. I think insider trading or something, Helmet. But I think he got past those charges. So they were kind of bogus. I don't think he was doing anything illegally. But, you never know, man. He got a good legal team, too. Shout out to him. So we're definitely going to talk about that Tuesday at 10 at night, my time. So That's going to be in there. I think I'm interviewing somebody at 2 Thursday. I'm interviewing project manager. She reached out to me. We're cool. She just said she wanted me to interview, talk about project management. I think she's PMP certified. So we probably talked about that. I always talk about project management as an unsung bag. You can be non-technical and just tell other technical people to hurry up. That's how I feel like project management tells me at work. Just hurry up, PBO. Right as the playoffs, you talk about as a Colts fan. Me as a Ravens fan, we are just lucky facts. The cool thing though, Calvin, the Colts are spoiled because even though Peyton Manning was here and then Luck was here, we were always in the playoffs and talking about Super Bowl probably for a good 15, 20 years. So you kind of get spoiled after a while, man. We were good, Peyton. I mean, the New England Patriots always took us out, but we were in the hunt every year. We were like, we got to just get past the Patriots. So I was spoiled a little bit, Cal. For at least 20 years, we were good. Omaha. I'm going to put that on that. Omaha. We were good for about 20 years with the Omaha. But yeah, Helmet, I'm going to need you to come through at 10 on my when I do my man. Let me show. I got my what you think of my little thumbnail I'm working on, Helmet? Give me a thumbs up on my little thumbnail. I'm working on it, so I'm gonna get that out for the Tuesday night one. So, what you think of my thumbnail, Helmet? Trying to get that up. I got the little dollar sign. I actually took it from his website. I like I'm gonna use that, Mr. Vista Equity. So that's what we're gonna be talking about. Go through in this portfolio, talking about the different companies, talking about what that looks like. Project manager. Oh, let's see. Project manager, other fields are good to talk about and get into. Yep. So I got a PME coming in, and I think I'm having an attorney coming in for a compliance director. I got a CISO lined up. I used to work for. So he wants to come on my channel. I got a CISO. I got a CIO from a major state coming on. I got a CIO for another state coming on. And so yeah, and I got a architect. We used to get into it. So he's a cool guy. We used to get into it. Super smart guy. The reason why I want him to come on is when the architect and security doesn't agree, right? How do you work through to that? How do you? I mean, we respect each other, but we got to balance that. A lot of times we had to go up to the CIO, right? Like, no, you're wrong. I'm wrong, right? So the CEO would have to make the decision on what we were arguing about, right? So you got to present your argument, present why you think you correctly. Some of that's money, some of that, like we talked about, the speed of what you're getting done. And part of that is what's the security of all that and how could that affect the business, right? So I think that'll be interesting. He said he never thought about that because we used to be going in at it. Is that $1 billion? Is that the $1 billion Robert Smith thumbnail? Look good. Yeah, that's it, man. We're going to talk about the different companies, just talk about tech in that way, right? Because we don't really think of tech, and we think about it as in buying stock. But what he does is he buys underperforming, like we talked Mark Zuckerberg was doing, buying underperforming companies, buying other companies to fill their gaps in, stitching them together, making them enterprise, then selling them to the stock market, right? Right. And once he sells them, he cashes out, right? And he cashes out some of that, his company, and some of that he's cashing out personally, right? So he's putting together companies, a security company, but you missing zero trust, or you missing FIPS 140-2 encryption for federal contract. So he gets these smaller companies together, stitch them together for an enterprise product. Boom, sells them to the market, or sells them to Oracle or Microsoft or one of the other big companies because they need that in their portfolio, right? He puts it in his portfolio, stitches together a little tighter, then upsells it to the big boys because they need it, in their portfolio, right? So what does that look like when you do that? Laugh out loud. This is not all about a day in the life on your YouTube when they talking about tech. Nah, facts. So now, we're going to ask them some day in the life. We ask them some questions, how to get into. And two is I always talk about too is how does it relate to a cybersecurity channel? Because shout out to her. What I liked about her is if security wasn't in a room as a project manager, she would always have it in her project plan. Like, hey, because we have federal compliance. Like we need security in because this is HIPAA, so we need security for HIPAA compliance on this project, right? You developing all this stuff, it's got to meet HIPAA requirement, right? So she would always make sure security was checking that box, even if it wasn't in the room. Or she would send me an IM. She'd be like, come to conference room 4 because ASAP, right? Because they're talking about stuff when not security being in the room. So, and that's part of reaching out to people. Shout out to Black Heights, reaching out to people in your organization to make sure you're included to where you should be included, right? So that's network with people. So she would make sure, because I'm security and I had to make sure all that stuff is reviewed. So sometimes my boss was like, did you review it? I'm like, no, I didn't review it. They didn't invite me to the meeting, right? So she would make sure I would get invited to the meetings or people wasn't talking behind my back, right? So that's why you got to have those relationships with project management, PMO. We got a PMO office where they do it at a grand scheme of things. So every big project and big offering, you got to have project management in there. So if project management is in there, they need to make sure security is invited to that meeting to make sure we can check all the security boxes off, right? And as we got ingrained in the company, it's less of a big deal than people would try to slip stuff past security, right? So that's some of the things we're going to talk about. Because security is a must. But a lot of times the business don't care, man. They want this project or they want to buy something. They don't care about security helmet until we get hacked and everybody's looking at me. I'm like, dude, I wasn't even in the room. Don't look at me, right? But no, so I think that's actually getting permeated throughout the organization and PMO, project management office, make sure that happens. So those are some of the stuff. I need to see if I can get her scheduled. I think I got a schedule on my calendar for Thursday at 2. So that's the things we're going to talk about. I'm a security channel, so anything I do, we're going to definitely have a security focus on there and make sure we talk about that. And 2 is project management is especially get PMP certified. They make 6 figures and they just tell you to hurry up. I always tease them. I'm like, y'all just telling me to hurry up. Y'all not doing nothing. I got to do all the work. Security is the least fun and value part. Always, man. Always. Happens physical too. They only think security after the bags. Facts. That's where it always is, man. So, but once again, this client I was working with, after me being there 8 years, it actually bubbled up, and another state got hacked. Actually, South Carolina got hacked. I want to say probably 10 years ago from the and it was an IRS audit. So they got all the IRS audits states money around the country. So that's actually how I got at the client. So that actually made management look more. It was cool when South Carolina got hacked, right? So for us, though, that just got us more money in so we could do what we needed to do. But yeah, but that is the Vista Equity Firm we're going to talk about Tuesday at 10. So look out for that. If you can come through, we're going to chop it up about my man, Mr. Smith. Obviously, he's securing the bad. I like his Vista Equity project. So we're going to actually go in there and look at a couple firms, dig into him. He had a couple security firms, so I might shoot him an email, or see if not him personally, but shoot his staff and see if I can get a couple security questions asked about his company. See if we can get some security documentation. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do that Monday morning. See if we can get some security documentation so we can review some stuff. A lot of times I reach out to company when I do security reviews and security risk assessment. I ask for security documentation on certain firms. A lot of times they do it because I was representing a large state agency and they think we're going to buy a lot. So I would get, a lot of times I get what I want, but I'm going to reach up because I think he had 4 security companies. So I'm going to look in there and see if I see an IAM company or some desk company or something. See if we get some security documentation. Do a quick security. Yeah, he's on LinkedIn. Now, I'm not reaching out to him. I'm reaching out to his team. He's also, is he? I'm about to go check out some of his YouTube. Okay, I'm about to check. Thanks for letting me know, Helmet. You know the channel, Helmet? Drop his channel in the chat if you can. So yeah, I'm gonna go out there. I'm gonna reach out to his security team, see if they send me some security documentation, see if they tell me the pound sand. I'm gonna tell him I'm doing it for a YouTube channel. See if they give it to me. We're trying to get him some more business, man. I'm known through the states for IRS now. I am, but I don't think that's gonna get him more business. So once again, I got a homie at Salesforce. He's shout out to Black Heights. He does sales, so I'm gonna bring him on the channel and interview him. Talk about tech sales from a Salesforce perspective. I think he's the Midwest director. So I'm gonna bring him on the channel. Cool guy. He owed me a lunch though. I helped him get into the States. So I'm gonna make him take me to lunch and get on the YouTube channel. So those are some things we got coming up. I appreciate you, Helmet. You would think he would have 1 million subscribers, man. So maybe we need to pump him up, man. Check him out, sharing. I might go sharing. That's all I got, man. I'm gonna go check out the football game, celebrate, shoot my homies a couple text messages for the coach. Well, let's see, what's the date and time? That'll be on Tuesday. Just want me to it'll be 10 p.m. my time. I'm on Eastern Standard. I'm in Indiana. I don't know what that is on UK. Well, check me out on the replay, man. It's 10. I'm going 10 Eastern, Indiana time. I don't know what that is in UK time. You'll see it. I'm just check back on my channel. I show my upcoming videos. So once you click on it, it'll switch it over to your UK time. Because I need to tighten this thumbnail up. Then I'm post it on my YouTube channel for the date and time when I'm gonna do it. So okay, I'll make that happen. He's a cool guy. So yeah, I might have him. He's a sales guy. You want me to have him bring on a tech engineer helmet? Yeah, serving. You think I should just do the sales guy? See if I can get him to bring a tech engineer. Let's do him. Then if we got tech questions, I have him bring on a tech engineer. Like he worked for me, but he a cool guy. If I need a tech engineer, he'd get me one. So and yeah, we talked security because he actually used to work for Oracle. That's when I met him. Oracle was my first bag. Then he left Oracle and went to Salesforce. So that's when I met him, and we bought a lot of stuff from Oracle. So he'll be a favorite sales. Then part two of tech after. Okay, we can do that. So let's bring the sales guy. Like I said, I'm gonna make it. He knows I do security, so I'm always asking some security questions. So I'll give him a list of security questions. He can get with his engineers. Is it FIPS? Is it federal? What's he doing for small people? I am. So I give him some security questions from a Salesforce perspective because he's trying to get that federal money. So I might try to go to Salesforce, to be honest, man. They'd be paying crazy amount of money too, man. I was thinking about trying to get in tech sales. Long story short, a lot of times when the sales team come in, they need they bring a sales security engineer because when you're doing federal work, there's a lot of federal security questions you got to ask. What cloud are you in? Is it FedRAMP approved, which means they actually have a third-party team a la Booz goes out and does all these federal checks. Is your data center FedRAMP approved? Are you using BitLocker encryption, right? And all these federal questions. So I'll shoot him some of those questions so we can kind of walk down what security questions would look like for Salesforce. By the way, Salesforce now starts giving learning paths for free to first timers who take the cert system admin free. That's cool. Go check them out. Yeah, because most companies I were working at, big clients, they were looking at if they didn't buy ServiceNow, they looked at it. One of my bigger clients, they thought it was a little pricey, so they didn't go to it. But yeah, get those certs if you're trying to get into the game. And ServiceNow and Salesforce are two great companies to get into the IT game. Just with certs, because there's so few people that really understand it. If you get those certs in Salesforce or get the certs in ServiceNow, you definitely could get into the IT game and make a nice bag. So, but yeah, so check me out. You'll see the thumbnail, and I'll schedule it. Come back to my channel. It usually show what are the upcoming lives that are coming up. If you love my channel, I think they're like in the second row of my channel, so you will see them. But yeah, it's going to be 10 p.m. on Tuesday. That's going to be kind of like my late at night PBO late at night. Somebody said that. I enjoyed that. PBO late at night. Tuesday. See what Mama sounds. Oh, facts. I was thinking about interviewing one, but they shut down hiring security people for a while. Unless you had a super specialty. They hired a lot of. I think they hired 2,000 security people over the last 2 years. So they were trying to see what that shakeout would be. I need you to come back, Calvin. I need you to come back. Come back to my channel. Don't leave me hanging. Nah, shout out to Calvin. Trying to get my subscriber count up. Nah, I'm joking. Well, I am trying to get it up. I'm teeny weeny compared to Kev Tech and Keep It Techie and Textual Chatters up there, Black Heights up there with 10. I ain't even a 2 yet, but I'm just slowly grinding. Shout out to Calvin. I'm out though. Everybody have a weekend's over with. Monday's here. Everybody have a great week. Come check me out. This is what we're gonna be talking about Tuesday night. We're gonna go in his equity firm. Once again, he had a couple of security firms in there, so I'm gonna delve in there and see kind of what they were about, what part of the tech stack they were looking at, and checking it, see where it's at, and just kind of dig into it. I appreciate that. I wish I had the same bag as him, Cal. So yeah, that's weird. You would think his subscriber count would be crazy big, but No, you right, Calvin. That's why I tell you, stay safe in these cybersecurity streets. Try not to get hacked like the old people. I'm out. Everybody have a great weekend.